Hey guys, how's it going? Zach here from Reptile Creation, and today I'm going to talk about breeding mealworms and superworms. I've been breeding mealworms for about 3 or 4 years now for my leopard gecko collection, and now that I'm going to be breeding leopard geckos, I wanted to ramp up the production. But at the same time, a few of the adult geckos that I have primarily want superworms now. They've gotten some superworms in their diet because I figured I had them and I bought them for my bearded dragons, but if my geckos want them and they're a fantastic meal for the geckos, I figured I'd start breeding those as well. So primarily that's what I'm going to be talking about here, but as well the process for breeding mealworms is pretty much the same. So since I'm ramping up production on these two types of feeder insects, I figured I'd talk to the pet store locally, see if they want to, cut out shipping cost on their feeder insects a little bit, and then I can, help make myself a little bit of money on top of what I get from breeding my leopard geckos a little bit. So that way I can kind of subsidize my hobby, because feeding this many reptiles isn't necessarily cheap, and keeping the lights on all day isn't either. So here we go. Okay, so here's the worms that I've left to pupate. If you don't know about superworms, to get them to pupate, you have to separate them from each other. That's why, in a lot of ways, having them in a tub all together, like I keep them here, I've just got oats and bran, they won't pupate because they're not being separated from each other, unlike mealworms, which obviously it's just left up to time and then they start showing up in your bin. But right here, I've had these separated from each other for about 10 days now, and I've got, I think, 3 pupa out of 46. I've gotten up to 3 pupa now. So I'm gonna just pick out the pupa and throw them in this little container right here. You don't have to separate or pull them out of the container like this. You can just leave them separated to pupate. The only reason I'm putting them all together in this thing is because then I can use these slots for more worms. So there's my third one. These guys are really creepy looking, but you get used to it after you've been doing this for a while. But there's also one dead one here. So they just go brown once they have died, and then that's just garbage. But in 10 days, I've only had one of these die, and I think there's 20 or more all curled into the C shape that will be looking like pupa in a couple days. I could pull them out now, but I'd prefer to just leave them. But then I'm going to go through my bin on the side here and try and find some of the biggest worms I can. So, like, as you can see, these two are a nice good size, and then this one here, it's a little stubbier. So I'm just looking for the big ones. I only need 3 right now, so yeah, there's 3. I've heard a lot of people say that the superworms will bite you, but I mean, like, took me a little bit of time before I was comfortable with picking them up with my fingers, but I really don't believe they bite. I've not had any pinches from them whatsoever. So that's that's pretty much all you do. I just keep my worms together or separated in this container. I've got a second one of these that I'll be setting up soon, but I just open it up every few days and let them air out, and then I keep that in a warm, dry place that's dark. I have some things draped over it. I add vegetables to my bin here every couple days, and then yeah, in a couple months I should have lots of these. There's 46 slots here, so as long as I get not too many die off, I should have a couple hundred in a couple months, and we'll be producing lots of superworms. So here we've got one of my Darkling beetle tubs. This is a pair of tubs with some vent holes cut into the bottom and the top, and then in the center I have a screen right here. If you can see all the stuff fallen through there. That's what allows all the mealworms and eggs to fall through once they've hatched. And keeping my Darkling beetles will be the exact same as keeping the Superworms, or the beetles. I guess Tenebrio molitor is the proper name for those. But essentially, other than the separating the worms apart for pupation, everything is identical. So I feed these guys, like I said, lots of carrots, squash, and then some bran and oats to live on, and they all produce really healthily. So that's pretty much all it takes to keep lots of food for a big reptile collection. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video about breeding insects. I'll just leave you with my Leopard Gecko indica here. She's one of my breeder females this year, who will be producing the geckos I'm hoping to feed with these insects. Have a good one, guys.